So could you define for us what photonics is?
So I think photonics is the study of how to manipulate light. I think that's the most concise way I can put it.
And how is it that you manipulate light with the septet project?
So for the septet project, we used a structure called inverse opal structure, and this structure has the property which is called photonic band gaps. In the photonic band gaps, the light that has a specific range of wavelength will be absorbed more prominently, and by varying the periodicity or the structure of the inverse opal, we can choose which wavelength that can be absorbed.
And what is it, can you describe physically what your research entails? What are you actually physically doing? I know you're working in, for example, in the micro at a very small level. Could you describe what?
Yes, so our structures, let's say inverse opal structures, is the arrangement, periodic arrangement of the spherical voids, and these spherical voids have the size around 1 micron or 10 to the minus 6 meters. And the first part of the project is to create, before we create the inverse opal, we need to create opal templates, which are just the close packing of the microspheres. So that is the first part of the project, to create a opal template. And then we fill the gaps of the opal template with with a choice of material. In our case, we are looking into germanium at first, and we might explore other choice of materials. So the second part of the project is to fill the gaps of the void between the microsphere, and then after we fill the voids, we can remove the microsphere to create inverse opal structure. So that's the second part. And after that, after we create a structure, next part is to characterize the optical and the electrical properties of the structure. And the works might also entail the simulation part, which I work with Professor Sang On Han, that we can, in this part we can create a model that help us predict the properties of the structure we created.
Cool. What is it like working with these microspheres and the nanotechnology that's very small? What is that process like?
For this part particularly, the steps are not very complicated as I thought at first, because that in general, when we consider the nanotechnology, there are two ways to fabricate, for the fabrications, which is the top-down and bottom-up approach. And in our case, we are using the bottom-up approach by arranging the smallest stuff to create the bigger stuff. For example, we are arranging the microspheres to create the inverse opal structures, which is larger than the microsphere themselves. And I found it quite interesting that the process of creating this is pretty simple compared to the other type, which is the top-down approach.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And you talked about the models. What are the models that you use to test whether or not your substances are efficient and effective?
So it's a analytical model that we use, and the software that we use is COMSOL, so which can simulate the various properties of the structures. For example, what we do is we create inverse opal structures in that program, and then introduce some light and see what is the property that structures have.
Maybe we can shoot you working on the computer or get some screenshots of this model software or something later.
Okay.
That would be good. So what have you learned
On this project?
Yes.
So let's see, on the technical stuff I learned. Before I joined this project, I know slightly bit about the photonics and other, and let's say even for optoelectronic stuff. And after this project, I learned a lot of the fundamentals of the photonics, and I think a much more valuable experience is to actually have a chance to work to have a hand-on experience on the project. Previously, I don't have any experience on about the nanotechnology before, so I don't know how to work in a clean room. I don't know how to do, let's say, how to create opal structures just using the tools that we have. But with this project, I am able to experience that.
Cool.
Mhm.
What do you think about being able to work on a cutting edge research like this?
I think it's a very good opportunity to do that, because although the field of nanotechnology is still growing, I think the chance to work on this project that will affect, I think, the futures is not easy to come by. I really appreciate that the subject can offer me this experience.
And what do you think the long-term effects of this research will be?
I think it's still difficult to predict, and I think I can say for sure that my project will create, let's say, a new technology that will affect all of us. But like a lot of technologies, there are a lot of people that participate in it, and I think this project can be a significant part of the progress that we can make in the future.
Okay. And can you give an example of a similar kind of how can I ask this question? So I'm wondering if you can say, because this is very basic research, right? This is very important basic research, and I wonder if you could give another example of basic research like this that has had a strong impact on society and stuff. That if you can think of anything, maybe with nanotechnology.
Oh yes, actually, one example is there was, if I remember correctly, I'm sorry if there's some inaccuracy anywhere, but I remember that there one person who has to do some research on the etching. So basically, to create a very narrow, really small features on the silicon chip, and so there also, this person works on the technique called plasma etching, and I think it's very fundamental work, because so the questions on their research is that how to create a very narrow profile in the silicon wafer, and of course the person succeed in that experiment, and nowadays with their success, people are now using this technique to create a very narrow and very small features that I could say that on the processor chips almost everywhere. This technique has been used very widely. I know Intel uses this technique, the plasma etching technique, and I'm pretty sure that chips nowadays all employ this technique.
Oh, cool. Do you have any questions you would like to?
I mean, you're working with Sanghan, correct?
Actually, I'm working with two Sang, so they have a similar last name. So one is Sang Im Han, and the other one is Sang Eon Han.
Oh.
Yeah, so same first name and same last name, but different middle name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How funny. I remember him.
Which one is the one that we know from our meetings?
Oh, Sang Im Han.
Saying Emma, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's advanced? Can you? You've touched on this a little bit, but I would like to ask you to say again what the significant advances so far have been in the septet project in your area?
In my areas, so one advance that we make is, so we spend a great amount of time on to create opal structures, and to create a structure we employ a technique called laminar project, which is basically we form a monolayer of the closed packed sphere on the surface of water and then transfer the monolayer onto a substrate. And by repeating the process, we can create multiple layers. This technique has been studied extensively before, but I think that in our work we are able to predict the relationship between the number of layers and the pressures that is needed to transfer the monolayer, a layer onto a substrate. And so as far as I know, I don't think that there is a model that predicts the relationship between the number of layers and the pressure before. So I think that's one of the advances we made during the project.
Fantastic. And can you just say your team members? So Sang Em Han and Sang Yun Han and other team members are?
Actually, I also work with Miso. M-I-S, Miso is her name. So you saw her during the meeting also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has more experience on working with the MBE, which stands for molecular beam epitaxy. So, and she also has experience in working with the semiconductor industry. So, she has helped me tremendously in this project.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we talk also to Miso later. So we're gonna. I'm sure that we'll be transcribing this, and there'll be some words that we're not knowing. So we'll contact you about that.
Okay.
And then maybe if you have, I know Sang has some really nice images of and you showed, I think, some images in some of your slideshows. So maybe if you could pass the slideshows on to Jared, he could use them as some of the B-rolls. He has, so he's talking about these microspheres, and they're like these images of these spheres that are tightly packed together, and then they peel off the surface, so it's like the reverse of the spheres.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you think about like maybe a convex mirror or something that will capture a lot of light that's around it, you know? Yeah. So you get like a whole 360 degree or something, or like a lens. It's basically what they're doing, but on a really tech scale. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, I think we probably have to pack up and get out of here.